A lot of people think self-discipline is about pushing harder, waking up earlier, forcing yourself to focus, trying to lock in every time you sit down to work. And if you've ever tried that approach, you already know how it ends. It works for a few days, maybe a week, and then you're right back where you started. Not because you're lazy, but because that version of discipline depends on effort. And effort is unreliable. What actually changes things isn't trying harder. It's changing how you relate to the task in the first place. Discipline feels exhausting when every action feels like a decision. Most people wake up and immediately start negotiating with themselves. Should I work now or later? Should I start with this or that? Do I even feel like doing this today? By the time they sit down, they're already mentally tired. This is the part most advice skips over. It's not the work that drains you. It's the constant choosing. When everything is optional, discipline feels heavy. Discipline works best when you don't think about it. Here's the shift that actually makes discipline easier. The less you think about starting, the more consistent you become. Look at things you already do every day. You don't decide whether to brush your teeth. You don't debate whether to check the time. You just do it. Not because you're disciplined, but because it's automatic. Discipline works the same way. The goal isn't to build willpower. The goal is to turn important actions into defaults. Why defaults beat motivation? Motivation is unstable. It depends on sleep, stress, mood, and energy. Defaults don't. When something is the default, it happens even on bad days. It doesn't require convincing. It doesn't feel dramatic. That's why people who look disciplined often don't feel disciplined at all. They're just operating inside systems that don't ask much. Every decision you remove makes discipline easier. Instead of deciding when to work every day, pick a fixed time. Instead of deciding what to work on, decide it the night before. Instead of deciding how long to work, use the same block every time. You're not becoming rigid. You're removing friction. When the plan is already made, there's nothing to argue. Stop negotiating with yourself. Most people lose discipline before the work even starts. They don't fail during the task. They fail during the internal conversation that comes before it. I'll start after this. I'll do it later. I just need to get in the right headspace. That's not laziness. That's indecision. Decide once, then follow through. Not because you feel like it, but because you already chose. Identity comes from repetition, not intensity. Discipline sticks when it stops being a personality trait and starts being behavior. You don't become disciplined by doing something extreme once. You become disciplined by doing something small, repeatedly. Showing up for 10 minutes counts. Starting even when it's imperfect counts. Over time, that repetition changes how you see yourself. And once your identity shifts, discipline stops feeling forced. Why discipline breaks on bad days? Here's something most people don't plan for. Bad days, low sleep, bad mood, zero energy. Most discipline advice only works when conditions are perfect. And that's exactly why it fails. Real discipline isn't about performing on your best days. It's about staying consistent on your worst ones. If your system only works when you feel good, it's not a system. It's a hope. The goal is to build habits that still run when motivation is missing. Design for your lowest energy version. Instead of asking, what would the best version of me do? Ask this instead. What can I realistically do on my worst day? Maybe that's writing one paragraph instead of a full page, opening the document instead of finishing the task, working for 10 minutes instead of an hour. This isn't lowering standards, it's making consistency possible. When your system works on low energy days, progress becomes inevitable. Why consistency feels boring and why that's a good sign. A lot of people quit because improvement feels boring. There's no rush, no dramatic breakthrough, no big emotional payoff, but boredom is often a signal that something is finally stable. When things stop feeling intense, they start becoming reliable. Real progress doesn't feel exciting most days. It feels quiet, repetitive, normal. And that's exactly what makes it sustainable. How this changes the way you see yourself. When you show up consistently, even in small ways, something shifts. You stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. Not because you feel disciplined, but because the evidence is there. That self-trust compounds faster than motivation ever could. If self-discipline has always felt hard for you, that doesn't mean you're broken. It usually means you've been asking too much of yourself, too often, without support. Most people try to change their lives by demanding more effort. They try to wake up earlier, focus longer, push through resistance, and ignore how they actually feel. That approach works for a short time. Then life happens. Energy drops, motivation fades, and everything falls apart again. The people who stay consistent aren't stronger. They're just more honest about their limits. They build systems that don't require peak energy. They plan for bad days, not perfect ones. And they stop turning every habit into a test of willpower. If there's one thing to take from this, it's this. Discipline gets easier when you stop fighting yourself and start designing around how you actually function. You don't need to become a different person. You just need better defaults. If you want to keep building habits, mindset, and systems that actually stick, this is Progression Pages. We focus on slow, realistic progress, the kind that holds up when motivation doesn't. Thanks for watching.